Experience more profitable end-to-end inventory management, pricing precision with real shopper data, efficient sourcing aligned to your strategy, AI-powered vehicle descriptions that save time and drive engagement. Experience more with vAuto by Cox Automotive.
Welcome to Daily Drive for Tuesday, April 7th, 2026. I'm Kellen Walker in Las Vegas. Today on the show, gas prices are almost $4.15 a gallon, widening the economic advantage for EVs. Audi workers push back as execs hint at more job cuts, and Volkswagen praises Rivian's tech but gets vague when you ask when drivers will be able to use it in VW cars. Plus, Hyundai Motor North America CEO Randy Parker talks about the brand's new Boulder concept and more.
Even with our EV and hybrid sales, we're conquesting a lot of business because of those products. And so we expect that to continue with body-on-frame trucks as well.
Let's run through all the news you need to know to keep up in the auto industry. Gasoline prices have climbed more than 30% since late February due to the Iran war, hitting an average of $4.14 a gallon. The spike is widening the economic advantage for EVs. Seattle-based environmental advocacy group Cultura says the average U.S. driver could now save more than $1,800 a year on fuel and maintenance by switching to an electric vehicle. Cultura Policy Director Rob Sargent says growing used EV inventory is making electric vehicles more affordable than ever. He warns that resistance to EVs could cost Americans more at the pump and erode U.S. competitiveness. Audi workers thought they had a deal. Last year, they agreed to cut 7,500 jobs by 2029 in exchange for 8 billion euros in investments. But now CEO Gernot Dollner is hinting at even more cuts. But leaders of Audi's Works Council aren't having it. They say workers are holding up their end of the bargain. Now it's management's turn to deliver on those promised investments. Adding fuel to the fire, Audi may not build a successor to its A8 flagship at its Neckarsulm plant. And Volkswagen Group of America CEO Kjell Gruner is praising the automaker's joint venture with Rivian, saying it's delivering the technology VW needs, but he wouldn't say when U.S. vehicles will actually get it. The partnership completed winter testing this year on reference vehicles, including the ID Every1, which won't be sold here. Joining me now to talk about it is our own Jack Walsworth, who covers Volkswagen Group and its brands for us at Automotive News. Jack, welcome back to Daily Drive.
Hey, Kel, good to be here.
VW has committed to pay nearly $6 billion in this joint venture. What does this software-defined architecture actually do differently than what's in VW vehicles today?
Yeah, so when this joint venture was first announced, Volkswagen Group said the partnership would help accelerate the rollout of software-defined vehicles. And what that looks like in more real life terms is probably highly automated driving features and what they're calling advanced infotainment solutions that can be updated throughout the life via over-the-air updates. So what that looks like if you're a driver or passenger, it's probably a little bit snappier infotainment, better tech, and probably just an overall better technology experience. There's been I think a common complaint with Volkswagen infotainments is that they can be kind of laggy, kind of slow, not the most responsive. When the ID4 launched, that was a key, negative point about that car. And Volkswagen, to their credit, have tried to fix that. But it seems like they're really aiming to just provide a better experience for the passenger, for the driver. I think that's one thing that people seem to like about Rivians. That's commentary we've seen with the reviews, is that their software, their infotainment is really good. And so I think Volkswagen Group's just trying to, replicate that with the help of Rivian, basically.
Well, what's the holdup? What do they actually need to work out before they deploy this software in their vehicles?
Yeah, so I think it's a little nuanced. I mean, part of it is just the way the product, rollouts are lining up. For the Volkswagen brand, they're going to start with the production version of the ID Every1, which the U.S. market isn't getting, but Europe will get that car, and that's supposed to be about 2027. For the U.S., it's not so much that there's like a holdup. I think it's just the way that the product plans are playing out. The software is aimed for EVs. Volkswagen brand doesn't really have any new EVs coming here in the US for a couple of years, but Audi and Scout will probably get the software first. That could be sooner than the Volkswagen brand. But I think that there's still quite a bit of R&D to to do with the joint venture. They've talked, that Rivian and Volkswagen Group still need to do some training across all their brands to make sure everyone's kind of ready to go. So it does still look like some of the first Volkswagen Group products with the tech will be in 2027. It just won't be in the U.S. market for the Volkswagen brand. We should be finding out more in the near future, but definitely more to come. They just surpassed what they're calling a milestone in March with some completion of some winter testing. I'd imagine there's going to be more testing, whether it's hot or cold temperatures in the near term, but definitely more to come.
Perfect. Jack, as always, thank you so much for joining me.
Yep, anytime. Thanks, Kyle.
Coming up, Hyundai Motor North America CEO Randy Parker talks about the brand's new Boulder concept and its big push into body-on-frame vehicles. That's next on Daily Drive.
Are you a dealer creating a workplace culture your employees are proud to be part of? Applications are now open for the 2026 Automotive News Best Dealerships to Work For program. This isn't just an award, it's a chance to get real insight into what's working at your dealership and where you can improve. And we've expanded the categories this year, recognizing everything from technician experience and leadership development to AI enablement and employee retention. The registration deadline is April 17th. Find out more and apply at autonews.com.
Running a dealership today isn't just about finding the right cars. It's about finding the right cars consistently, efficiently, and at the right price. While the market keeps shifting around you, inventory management has become more complex. Vehicles come from more sources, margins are tighter, and every buying decision carries more risk than it used to. Yet, too often, inventory decisions are still made with fragmented data, disconnected tools, and limited visibility into what's actually working. The most successful dealerships are approaching inventory differently. They're managing it as a system, not a series of one-off decisions. They're looking at market data, demand signals, pricing, and acquisition opportunities together, so every move is more informed and more intentional. When inventory is managed end-to-end, teams spend less time reacting and more time acting. They can see what's selling, what's stalling, and where the next opportunity is coming from. That clarity helps reduce aging, improve turn, and protect profitability. The right vehicles are out there. The difference is having a smarter, more connected way to find them, price them, and move them. Learn how dealerships are rethinking inventory management with vAuto and what a more confident, data-driven approach can do for your business.
Welcome back to Daily Drive. I'm Kellen Walker. At the New York International Auto Show last week, Hyundai unveiled the Boulder concept, signaling the brand's ambitious move into body-on-frame vehicles. It's a major strategic shift for Hyundai, taking aim at a segment long dominated by competitors like Jeep and Toyota. Automotive News Deputy Editor Lindsay Van Hully spoke with Randy Parker, CEO of Hyundai Motor North America. They talk about what inspired the Boulder concept, how it fits into Hyundai's broader product strategy, and what this move means for the brand's future in the U.S.
Randy Parker, welcome to Daily Drive.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So you had a reveal today, a global reveal on the stage, the Boulder concept. Tell us about it and really what the inspiration is behind it, knowing that Hyundai has said it's making this big move into body-on-frame vehicles.
Well, first, let me just say that today has been a very exciting day for the Hyundai brand. It started at breakfast this morning with the Ioniq 6N winning the World Performance Car of the Year. So that's where it all got started. And then, of course, we launched the Boulder concept, which you see out on stage. And what a great morning. The Boulder concept is basically our design future of tomorrow. And, it's our entry into body-on-frame trucks. And what Boulder really represents is the possibilities of us going into body-on-frame are endless. And that's really what we tried to get across today. But by 2030, we've already said that we are going to be bringing in a body-on-frame pickup truck. So showcasing the SUV first is a good way for us to tease what the future could potentially look like.
Knowing it's a design study, it does look sort of production ready. Is it something that we might see, the Boulder vehicle in some production form down the road?
Well, if I told you that, I'd have to kill you. But I would say that, again, the possibilities are very endless. I can't give away too many secrets today, But if you just take a really good look at what that body-on-frame SUV looks like, I think it's going to give you a really good indication of what the future could be.
Jose Munoz was saying to reporters afterward that it's sort of powertrain agnostic right now, that it wasn't sort of specified, and that, you know, something like that could potentially be in multiple different powertrains.
That's right.
Does the Boulder concept have a specific powertrain now, or do you see it potentially being something that could be internal combustion, electric, hybrid, some combination?
Yeah, it could be all of the above. What we're really trying to do right now is try to do things the right way by listening to our customer. And we're going through many, as you can imagine, focus groups to better understand what are consumers' expectations in this space, whether it's powertrain, fuel efficiency, capability, performance. We're really right now focused on learning from the customer, meeting customer expectations, and then we'll decide which powertrain direction and derivatives we want to go in.
The customer expectation piece is something that you and the other executives today sort of highlighted as the reason for wanting to move into body on frame. It is a new segment for Hyundai here in the US. And I guess talk about what you're hearing from customers and how that really inspired the brand to want to move in this direction.
Well,
why that's an important opportunity.
Sure.
Now.
Well, customers have been telling us for a very long time that they like our portfolio, but they want to see more. They absolutely want to see more. And so we've made a decision to enter a very competitive segment. We know it's highly competitive. We're not taking that lightly. And so, as I said, we want to try and do things the right way. We want to listen to our customers first, do a lot of research. That way, we are ahead of the curve opposed to behind the curve when we launch.
And that's the midsize pickup segment specifically, right?
Specifically, correct.
When you think about other applications of it, looking at off-road utility, for instance, with the Boulder concept, how where do you see kind of the white space opportunities, and how do you think, that body on frame approach is going to help Hyundai differentiate there?
Well, I think it's going to give us a new entry that we can play in. It's going to bring in different types of buyers that we've never experienced before. We're seeing that right now, even with our EV and hybrid sales. We're conquesting a lot of business because of those products. And so we expect that to continue with body-on-frame trucks as well.
So I know the announcement today was that they're going to be designed in America, built in America.
You heard that, right?
Have you said, I think the announcement today was that it would include the Meta plant here in the U.S., but there were other facilities.
We haven't made any announcements in terms of where just yet, but you're 100% correct. Those products will be, or I should say that product, will be designed in America, developed for America, and built in America with American Hyundai steel.
That product being the Boulder concept, or the midsize pickup?
That product being the midsize pickup.
Okay. To do that, then you'd obviously have to do some retooling of a plant to be able to have that body on frame capacity there. Is there a place, Meta plant seems like it might have the capacity to do that. Is that something that you're looking at, or that would have to be part of that approach? Yeah,
so right now we're exploring everything, so including the Meta plant, but we haven't made any firm decisions in terms of exactly where we're going to produce that pickup truck.
Okay. I think Kia has the Tasman pickup outside of the U.S. that's body on frame. Are there ways to be able to bring in some of that technology that the group has, is already kind of deploying elsewhere to be able to use that here? Or is it something that you think would be developed completely, ground up?
I think it's going to be completely ground up.
In what ways? I guess, can you elaborate on that?
Not at this point in time, no. It's too early. We're still a few years away. Right now, like I said, what we're trying to do is do things the right way by listening to our consumer, understanding their expectations, from a powertrain perspective, from a capability perspective, from a design perspective, and from a performance perspective. And so once we feel like we've got it right, then we'll start to execute and provide more feedback in terms of powertrain and what the future might look like.
When we think about concepts, sometimes you'll see them ultimately down the road in kind of production form, or maybe elements of a concept might show up across a production lineup. But you've identified the Boulder really as the vision of where the body on frame portfolio is going to go. When you think about that, if not, if it may be the whole vehicle, maybe it's pieces of it, but how do you sort of, if we look at the Boulder today, how might we think about how that might translate down the road to those future production vehicles?
Well, as we mentioned today, during the presentation, going body on frame provides us with endless possibilities in terms of which direction we can go in, whether it's a pickup truck, whether it's a SUV. But right now we're focused on producing the best pickup truck that we can, and then we'll see what the future holds after that. But going body on frame gives us many different directions that we can pivot in.
And you've talked too about, a mix of different body types, a mix of different powertrains. How has that strategy helped Hyundai right now, given a lot of the evolution we've seen in the market, a lot of changing demand, regulation, policy that's kind of, changing the type of mix that's out there? How does that multiple strategy approach help you?
Well, having a full platform of product, I think is what's really fueled our success. We can pivot just about in any direction that the consumer wants to go, whether it's ICE, whether it's hybrid, whether it's a plug-in hybrid, whether it's a hydrogen propulsion, or whether it's a EV. And I'm very proud of the fact that we've got a seat for every purse, basically. And I think that's what's really fueled our success, And I think having a very balanced product portfolio is what will at least give you a chance in the marketplace.
That midsize pickup is one, I think, of what will be 36 new or I think updated vehicles here for North America between now and the end of the decade. Is that part of the $26 billion in investment that you've announced previously as well, or is that in addition to it?
No, that's part of the $26 billion investment, including the steel mill in the great state of Louisiana that will also provide close to 2,000 jobs in the future. And so, but that's all part of that $26 billion investment and localizing production.
Talk about that, both from the scale of the investment, but also the cadence of the product lineup that you have. 36 new vehicles over the next 5 years is a pretty significant cadence. And, when you think about what that means for you and kind of what your strategy is, segments maybe you want to be in, I know there are new ones that you'll be entering, just the importance of that localized investment for you as well.
Well, a big part of that is localizing production. That's really what we're focused on right now. And by 2030, we want to have at least 80% of our production localized. In terms of the products themselves, and as far as the 36 new builds that are coming, a lot of them are going to replace some of the existing models, and then a few will also be new models such as body on frame. And so, again, I think just having a very balanced approach and a balanced product portfolio is what will help us succeed in the marketplace.
Will all of that production be in the U.S. or is it North America specific? Do you see, when you're looking at where that investment is going, how much of that is in the U.S. versus North America?
Right now, we're focused on the U.S. in terms of 80% localized by 2030.
And do you have the capacity now to do that, or is that going to take additional just retooling and plant capacity investments?
Well, with the existing meta plant facility, right now we've got the ability to produce up to 300,000 cars in phase one, up to 500,000 cars in phase two. And between that facility, between our facility in Montgomery, Alabama, we will get very, very close to having 80% localized. And we're exploring some other opportunities as well.
There was an announcement, I think, today about increased production coming or another vehicle, I think, coming to the Meta plant soon. Can you elaborate on what's next for that plant?
Sure. Yeah. So in the fall of this year, Hyundai Motor Group will start producing hybrids out of that plant.
It was originally an all-EV plant.
And it was.
Is that pivot partly just recognizing that maybe EV demand has softened a bit and that your hybrid growth has increased pretty significantly?
Absolutely. We want to meet the customer on their journey to electrification. We still think that EV is the way of the future. But right now, because of government regulations and because of all the changes that have taken place, we're pivoting very, very quickly to produce hybrids in that plant. And again, we want to meet the customer on their journey to electrification. And I think one of the biggest competitive advantages that we have is that we're able to pivot very, very quickly and meet consumer demand no matter where they go.
Hyundai Motor North America CEO Randy Parker spoke with our own Lindsay Van Hully at the New York International Auto Show. That's Daily Drive for today. I'm Kellen Walker. Thanks to Automotive News executive producer Jake Neer, as well as our own Jack Walsworth for his reporting for today's podcast. We also had reporting from Lois Jones and Frank Volk of our sibling publications, Automotive News Europe and Automobile Voca. You can get the latest news on electric vehicles, Hyundai's product strategy, and everything happening in the auto industry at autonews.com. Come back tomorrow for a conversation with Christian Mounier, chairman of Nissan Americas.
The momentum is back in, but we still have a lot of work to do on the free cash flow especially, so that we generate free cash flow positive as soon as possible.
We'd love to hear from you. Let us know what you think of the show and the topics we covered today. Send us an email at dailydrive@autonews.com or leave us a voicemail at 313 888-444-2774. And if you enjoy the podcast, remember to like, leave a review, and subscribe so you never miss an episode.